Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again to finally review Wednesday Season 2. Season 2 Part 2 and Season 2 as a whole. So I gotta say, I should have watched this a little bit earlier. I should have watched it when it came out. And see, this is the thing that always happens with me with TV shows, is that I get really fed up with a show, and then I stop watching, and then it gets really good. And then I come back and I'm like, oh shit. That's what always happens. That a big example would be Hell on Wheels, which I've talked about on this channel several times. But long story short, I watched through to season 3, and I thought, this isn't very good right now. And then I stopped watching, and then I picked it back up again, and I was like, oh wait, it actually is still pretty good. And the same thing happened here with Wednesday Season 2, where I despised the first half of the season. And, I didn't want to hate it. I didn't want to dislike it. I like Jenna Overrated Ortega. I like the girl. I like her quite a bit. I think she seems cool, and she's good at acting, and a lot of other things too. Like I like Jenna Overrated Ortega. I think she's Wednesday. She's someone who, you kind of, judge a little bit at first, and then you see she's actually really cool. But who knows what she's like in real life, but that's just what I get from her. And to be honest, it kind of reminds me of me, which is what happened a lot when I was growing up, is, people see me and then, they make little judgments, but then, they get to know me a little bit, and that's when they're like, oh, wait a second, he's actually pretty cool, So anyways, I know that was weird, but I just can't help it. I'm trying to be honest here. I'm trying to say that, look, I didn't have any agendas going into the show. I didn't want to hate it. I didn't want to say, hey, Wednesday Season 2, it totally sucked. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be the YouTuber who just says, oh, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. And so it really sucked when I reviewed the first half, and I was like, damn, that was really bad. Looking back, though, it's funny because I don't know what they did. I got to look at IMDb, but spoiler alert, overall, the first episode of Part 2 I did not like. I thought that they made it seem like it was going one way at first, and it was very lazy to me, and there were some issues I had with that episode, but then the last 3 episodes are really, really good, and it feels like completely different writers, number one. Number two, they take things a lot more seriously. There's not as many jokes. There's not nearly as many jokes in the second half of the season. And number 3, they simplified things down a ton. They took all the stupidest stories, all the ones that we didn't really care about, and they were like, okay, let's just shave those off. They did a great job. I don't think I've ever seen this done in a TV show before, where they redeemed themselves this much. I'm probably a bit biased because I love horror, and there are some other things that I loved. But I gotta say it, they did a great job with the second half of Season 2 of Wednesday. I do think that it is tough to think about the season as a whole because, I was looking at people's comments because apparently the viewership dropped off, which I gotta say, just release the whole season at once, or release week by week. Don't do this thing where you release part 1, part 2, because what happens is you get these people who, they commented and they said, hey, I watched one episode and I hated it. Or I don't like the fact that they separated the season in two. Or, but a lot of people were really turned off by the first half. And so they need to be better at, like, making the whole season as good as the last 3 episodes, because the last 3 episodes are so good. I mean, where was this the whole season? Like, they did a major bait and switch. Like, you think the whole season is all about that stupid asylum story where, you have Thandie Newton and she's like the nice doctor and her character's trash. She doesn't go anywhere. She gets killed. And you have, like, the other lady who's like, she's like a normie, and she's like a goofy caricature. You know what, though? She did a good job. I'm not going to disparage her, because she's a lot better than other actors I've seen nowadays. So, especially in real life. And I won't say anything more about that. But anyways, I think that, too, that, like, if I'd had known that the whole season was about what it was about in the last couple episodes, I would have watched it, and I would have loved every single minute of it. I would have said, hey, that really stupid part in episode 3 was really good. The part at the Boy Scout camp where they did the Hunger Games. I loved it. See, guys, I can be a shill too. And you know what? I'm going to shill for Wednesday. I'm going to be Wednesday's top shill. I'm going to be like that redheaded girl. Who's that? Agnes. Agnes is such a sweetheart. Her character is really, really nice, actually, by the end of the season. I actually ended up liking her a lot, which really surprised me. Again, this whole season, they turned things around. I've never seen this. Like, even with Cobra Kai, the last season, which was split up into 3 parts. I don't know what they were thinking with that, but with that, it was different because that was the series, finale, and so they probably always had ideas of what they wanted to do with that finale and how they wanted to circle back around. So it's not as impressive as this, and also with the Cobra Kai, that final season had a lot of issues. But this, I can't believe it. I just, there are still a couple of issues here and there. Like, I guess it's just the balancing of all these different storylines. Like, and that's really hard. I'm not currently, like, in the middle of the production of a Goosebumps fan series, but I have been getting started. And it is really difficult to write a TV show or just a show in general, because it's not like a movie. You have all these different plot lines, all these different characters, and you have to really balance them and figure out which ones are worth exploring more, which ones are worth dropping, which ones are worth, you have to figure that all out. It's very, very difficult. So that was one of the biggest issues this season, and it continues on into the second half because they did not have enough episodes. It was a little bit rushed, and you could tell that they felt rushed because in the second to last episode, they basically eliminated over half of the storylines so that they could just, get straight to the point with the finale, the season 2 finale, and they got to the point. So I'm glad that I loved the second half of Wednesday season 2. I can't wait to talk about it right now. Can't wait. Okay, let me get to my notes. Excuse me, sorry. Let me separate the bad episode from the rest. Sorry, excuse me. I just ate dinner. I made hamburgers. You know what really bothered me, though? And this is just a sidebar. This is what you call fat guy problems. Or not fat, but just overweight. Just like Pugsley or the father. What was the father's name? Oh, yeah. I can't remember the dad's name. Uh-oh. Gomez. Yeah, Gomez. See, that we'll get into that, but like the dad, he was really short-shafted in the second half, and the first half of this season. It really felt like they took all the male characters and they kind of sideline most of them except for the Gorgon, so that they could let the female characters have their shine. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, because this is like mostly like a women's show, a girls show. But at the same time, I hope in the next season that we do get some better like male characters. Like Gomez especially was really, really weak this season, and that was one of my issues. But it's not a biggie. It's not a big issue. It's just something to keep in mind. So yeah, first off, in this first bad episode, episode 5, Wednesday is in the hospital. She wakes up, and by the way, I loved how they brought Gwendolyn Christie into the show. I loved how they brought the principal back, because I was so depressed at the end of the first season that she gets killed. And this was such a smart way to bring her back. It's like, wow, like, it's fan service, but it's smart fan service. It's fan service with a brain. And that totally doesn't sound like ChatGPT wrote that line. And so anyways, there's this, so the fake out villain, the bad villain. And by the way, it is worth pointing out, the whole season gets better as soon as that asylum storyline is completely erased from the show. Like, it is completely the worst stuff of the season. It does lead to the other stuff happening, but it is like the worst part of the season. By far, it is just a total crap story and really, really bad. But anyways, the fake out villain, she visits Wednesday in the hospital. And it's really weird because she tells Wednesday that she cleaned up the secret lab that she had, which she was experimenting on outcasts, or mutants, or freaks, or monsters, whatever you want to call them. And it's really weird because, like, okay, like, I get that that's like a very typical cliche for, like, a mystery movie or something, but at the same time, it reminds me of, God, I can't remember. There was this one movie, Dark Winds, it's a show, where they did the same thing where they cleaned this van and they stuffed it full of things and made it look like there wouldn't be any evidence in there. And it's like, okay, like, maybe there's boxes everywhere, maybe you cleaned all the equipment up, but there's still going to be forensic evidence. You know, like, the police, if there was probable cause, which Wednesday attests to, you know, that woman, you know, threatening her and running a cult or whatever she was doing. I mean, that was crazy. The police are going to say, hey, can we go in there and really look around, like, with a magnifying glass? Can we get the dog to go in there and sniff around and see if there's any outcast panties anywhere? Like, we got to do something here. You know, like, Wednesday easily could have done that. She easily could have gotten the police to run forensics on that place, but, like, the people who made the second half of this season, I don't know, it's really weird, because it feels like the people who made the second half are like, okay, let's get that out of here. Let's get that story over with. That story's trash. And so they kill her off, like, immediately. They kill her off screen, and she doesn't even get, like, a final line or anything. She's just, like, completely effed up. Now, Wednesday's going to leave the hospital, and Tyler, who is a wanted fugitive, he is all the way down the hall, dressed up like a doctor or a nurse or whatever, or a surgeon, whatever. He's disguised. Wednesday sees him gloating and smiling, and she doesn't even tell the hospital staff. She sees him run away. She knows that he's in the hospital. She knows that a wanted fugitive who kills people is in the hospital, and she tells no one. That was bad writing. All you had to do, if you had a couple of more episodes, here's what I would do. Wednesday does the smart thing, which is she gets someone and she says, hey, there's a fugitive in this hospital. I just saw him down the hallway. And then they're like, oh, okay. And then they check it out, and Tyler has to escape. He's got to get out the back window. He's got to jump off the building and turn into a hide or something and run away. I don't know. But you got to figure it out. Like, come on. Like, he's a wanted man. But she came up with some sort of plan Wednesday. She came up with some sort of weird plan where she would control Tyler and be his master. I think that is pretty hot. Like, I would like Jenna to be my master. That would be pretty hot. If I was a Hyde, I would definitely let her inject me and tell me what to do and, tell me who I should kill. Should I kill Uncle Fester or should I kill Pugsley? I don't know. Wednesday, you got to tell me. And so, but anyways, that was a weird part of this episode too. In all seriousness, that was a weird story. Wednesday's I'm going to control him. it gives off I can change him vibes. The women who thought that they could change Ted Bundy, people like that, they're like, I can change him. I could change Jeffrey Dahmer, even though he's gay. I'm such a strong, independent woman. I can turn him straight, and I can change him. I can make him a good man. I can make him a family man who has a heart. Instead of eating men's hearts, he just has a heart now, and he helps people because I could change him. Wednesday thought she could change Tyler. I don't know why she wanted to do that, too. Why would she want to do that? Why wouldn't you just want to kill him? He's a psychopath who turns into a giant monster. I would devote my entire being to tracking him down and ending him instead of saying, hey, maybe I could change him. But she wasn't really thinking, she wasn't romantically interested in him, but, still, she thought she was going to control him. That was weird. Also, there's a part in this episode where Gomez is at Pilgrim World, and here is one of the few cringe things of the season. He lectures about cultural appropriation, and yeah, that was really bad writing. That completely took me out of the show. And then, also, the Nightshades, they finally met up. They finally regrouped. This secret society, they finally had a secret meeting after they were disbanded in episode 5. So, yeah, that was pretty surprising. It took the secret society 5 episodes to meet up in secret. That's their whole point, is that they're secret and that it's a secret thing. It's as long as they're not killing people or raping people, it's who cares? They are a secret society. Why are they not meeting up anyways? It's like in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, where he starts, teaching students how to fight and shit in the secret room or whatever. Yeah. Harry Potter movies haven't really aged well. I don't know about that, actually. I'm at kind of a weird place with Harry Potter where it used to be the greatest movies of all time. As a kid, Harry Potter movie, a new Harry Potter movie. Wow. I'm gonna get a Mountain Dew, a nice cold icy Mountain Dew, some popcorn, see Harry Potter. But nowadays, I look back, the first 2 movies are good. They're classic kids movies. The third one's really good. But other than that, I don't really I don't really like any of the other movies anymore. Like, Goblet of Fire has its moments. Like, it has that final fight with Harry and Voldemort is, like, a masterpiece. Like, that final fight is better than the fight in the final movie of the series. But other than that, there's really nothing in the complete second half of the series, thinking back, that, like, is any good to me. Like, all of it is bad. But why was I talking about Harry Pothead? Why was I doing that? I don't know. Sorry, guys. I don't know what got into me. Just had a rant about Harry Potter. But anyways, so by the end of this episode, this is what pissed me off. They revealed that Isaac Knight is related to Tyler, and also Morticia makes a deal with Tyler's mom, who comes back into the picture, and she is creepy as hell. I gotta say, the actors that they got, first off, you got the actress who plays Tyler's mom. She is creepy as hell. The actor that they got to play Isaac Knight, he is scary. Every time he came on screen, he really, really freaked me out. Sometimes when he is finally fully human, he did kind of remind me of Timothée Chalamet. But other than that, like, he really freaked me out. Like, these were scary villains. But Morticia makes a deal with her for her to come and save Tyler and take him out of town. And it's like, why? And there is also kind of like a weird, like, inconsistent story with Gomez, and like, he knows about Slurp, but he doesn't know that Slurp is Isaac, and so there's like this whole thing with that. But like, overall, like, I got mad because I didn't like how they simplified things and made all the bad guys related to Tyler for the most part, because it reminded me of Scream. And I thought, did they do this just because of Jenna being in Scream and the Scream 5 and 6? But then, guess what, guys? That became the best part of the show. So, completely disregard that criticism. Completely disregard it. And then, yeah, they killed off the fake-out villain from the first half. The terrible villain who was just terrible. She was really, really terrible. I mean, wow, that was a terrible villain. I'll never get tired of saying she was terrible. So now let's get to the good part. Let's get to the good 3 episodes. By the way, too, Lady Gaga is in this show for like 2 seconds. She comes on screen, and she's just pretty bad. She's like, "Who is it? Lady Gaga. You want to have the power? I'll give you the power. You're gonna have to do something." Okay, that really fucked me up doing that. But like, she came on and she did her thing. She did the Lady Gaga thing that she's done like a million times. You know, she came on and she was there, and I was so thankful that she was not in the show any more than she was. But anyways, the first episode that's actually good, it's basically like Freaky Friday, but it's actually incredible. Jenna and Emma Myers, they do a great job playing each other. I mean, great jobs. Like, both of them gave perfect performances playing the other. And it also was really fun because it really hammered my point of how one of the reasons why Freaky Friday 2 wasn't good is because it was overcomplicated. Having 4 people switch bodies was way too complicated. You needed to simplify things down, and that's exactly what the show started doing when it got better. They simplified things down. They said it's just going to be Enid and Wednesday in this episode switching bodies and that whole story with a couple other things. And it was fantastic. Also, Isaac, he is way better as a villain than Tyler. So he is a better villain than the villain from season 1. I mean, I gotta say, too, they did such a great job misdirecting the audience and making you think that he was just a stupid zombie comedy character. Like, they did such a good job at being like, oh, maybe he could, be a character someday. But I never would have thought that he would have become the character that he became in the second half of the show. He was so good. The scene where he kills Christopher Lloyd it's brutal. It is just absolutely brutal. It's so smart. It's so good. I can't believe it. And also, and I said too in my notes, I feel like episode 6 completely turned around the season. Is it too late? No, it's not too late. It's never too late. At the end of the season, they say it's never too late to change your past or future. But you can't change your past. You can change your future. That's the quote. I fucked it up. But yeah, like, I really like Agnes, too. She's actually a really, really good character. She gets so much better in the second half of the season. And she seems like a really, like, a sweet, like, nice, like, character. Like, in terms of, like, she is so much better than Enid in some ways. Because Enid, most of the season is just all about her being, like, in a romantic, like, triangle or something like that. And it's like, look, there was an interesting thing in season 1 with her and Eugene versus her and the Gorgon guy. But in season 2, they just kind of ruined that. And also the guy who plays Eugene, he turned into a Hispanic Howard Stern. So there's just nothing you could do there. Like, I really liked how Enid, her character was kind of bad. Like, Agnes was so much better than her this season. That's what I meant to say. She's actually, like, a really, really good character. I loved her arc, how she became her own person and stopped trying to emulate Wednesday. That was a really, really cool thing. Really great part of the season. And also, though, this episode, this Freaky Friday episode, it was a great episode for Enid, but she really didn't have any other good episodes this season. Like, her character, she basically just did stuff for Wednesday when she needed her to. Like, she really never really had, like, she never really had any meat, to her story. She didn't really have that much, except for the thing at the end, which is the story for season 3, or as we think it's going to be for season 3. By the way, my cat is watching me do a review right now. He's got his paw on a piece of wardrobe that I bought for an actress. It's a leather jacket. He's sleeping on it. He's barely awake. He doesn't even know I'm talking about him. That's what's so hilarious. Like, he's like, Marco, let me go to sleep. What are you doing over there? Like, he doesn't even know, like, what a review is or anything. He's just like, that human being is making too much noise. So, anyways, let me move on from that. I did like, in this episode, too, how they got rid of Enid's boyfriend. They had this whole stupid thing where the jock boyfriend, he was like, well, I was going with this other girl, but then I wanted to go with you, and I wanted things to be kind of casual and just kind of, do it with you and, do it with her. I just kind of wanted to do stuff. But then I broke things off with her, like I did that, even though I lied to you. And so it just, that stuff was just like, like, I was so glad that they got rid of that crap by the end of the season. Like, they didn't have any more stupid romance bullshit. Like, honestly, like, it's so much better that way, because the way that it's been in this season in particular is that it's felt very forced. I never felt in season 1 that the romance was forced, except with Xavier, because Xavier was a piece of shit. Xavier, he is like a human hide. Like, he is just the worst part of everything. Like, he is just... there is so much hatred I have for Xavier. It breaks boundaries for hatred that a human being can have. Like, I despise Xavier more than I despise... Okay, I don't want to say anything more because I'll sound very offensive, and I'll make people really upset, which I don't really give a fuck about. So, but this video is not about Xavier, so we're moving on. Well, it's not about him. I already trashed his bad movie with Jenna. The winter, summer, fall, August, winter, summer, fall movie, whatever the fuck that was. That movie was so bad. That movie was just hell. And so I survived hell. Not a lot of people can say that, like, no one can really say that. They have these videos like, I went to hell for 5 minutes and then I came back. Like, I went to hell for 2.5 hours watching that movie, and I came back, and I lived to tell the tale that you should never watch a movie starring Xavier from Wednesday. Okay, so moving on. Okay, I'm get rid of that note. And then I love the second to last episode of the season is basically almost completely focused around getting rid of all the other fat this season had. Oh, that story, that little tiny story that really didn't matter about, what's her name? The Siren. I forgot her name already, even though she's a good actress. They got rid of that stupid story about her mom and the cult and all that bullshit. Like, it turns out that the principal, Steve Buscemi, he started the cult. I thought that was a great twist. I loved how they concluded that because it was just so, like, satisfying to finally get rid of that story, finally have an end to Steve Buscemi's character. Although, I gotta say, I wish the season had a couple more episodes because you can never have enough Steve Buscemi. Like, he's such a great actor. If you guys haven't seen... Oh, God, what's the name of that movie? Oh, shit. Let me look it up really quickly. Come on. Michael Pitt, Steve Buscemi. I know Michael Pitt might have done some things. Delirious is a fantastic movie. It's a great comedy. It's like an indie comedy romance with Steve Buscemi, and he plays a... What do they call it? It's not a patsy. It's a the camera person. The piece of shit, paparazzi. Yeah, the pizzarazzi guy. He plays a paparazzi, and Michael Pitt plays a struggling homeless person, actor, wannabe guy. He's in a terrible place, and Steve Buscemi helps him, and so it's actually a really funny movie. I'd highly recommend it. But yeah, Steve Buscemi, he was great at playing a villain. There were a lot of villains this season. Like, they had a lot of villains. But by the end, they shaved it down to the ones that really mattered. They shaved everything down. They said, we're not going to have this be, like, overstuffed anymore. We're going to shave it all down, and we're going to give you guys the core, not the core 4, thank God, but the core essence of what this season really should have and could have been, and it was in the last 3 episodes. So yeah, Steve Buscemi's gone. That was good. And another good thing, and see, I know a lot of people could say, hey, like, I like complex storytelling. I like it too, but at the end of the day, when you simplify story down and you simplify characters, it makes things so much better, because by simplifying things, you hyper-focus on those few things. and you make things a lot more intense, a lot more dramatic, a lot more emotional than you would have if it's just like, oh, we got to jump from story to story to story to story to story. That is not good, because it dilutes the possible like emotional resonance that your story can have. When you notice like the biggest shows, like all the like climactic episodes, because I've been studying these episodes now, you notice that they're very, very simplified down. They're heavily, heavily simplified. Some of them are even too simplified. Like they'll have like 5 or 6 big scenes the whole episode, and that's pretty much the entire episode. Like that can be a little bit of a problem too, but it was not a problem here. Here it was a strength. It was a great, great choice. Now, let's get to the finale. And by the way, I just put a note that says Eugene, LOL. I think that's enough said about Eugene. I mean, Eugene's character, he comes onto the screen the first half, and he makes this face. He makes this face like, this is me. I hit puberty. I started watching porn. That's what he looks like. That's the Eugene that we see in this season. He doesn't look like sweet and innocent Eugene anymore. He looks like Howard Stern. But then in the second half of the season, he gets completely shafted. He doesn't get anything. He gets like a little tiny scene at the very end, but he gets completely shafted in the show. It's almost kind of hilarious, because he saved the school in the first season, or he helped to save the school. In the second season, it's like, screw you, Eugene. You're not going to get any of Enid, and you're never going to get screen time either. So you might as well just go, like, study some bugs, because that's all that they let him do. They're gonna let him make it with a bug before he makes it with a female character in the show. And that's just the sad reality of things. And by the way, speaking of sad reality, they did Gomez so dirty in the finale. Like, the whole season, you had this back and forth with him and Pugsley about Slurp, and about they end up keeping that secret together, and then there's a complicated thing in the 5th episode, and in the finale, the dad is told to just go call the police and not help and do anything else. And it's like, wow, so much for the male characters getting to do anything. You know, like, it's not like I want them to save the day. It's not like the female characters aren't allowed to do anything. I'm just saying, like, the dad, all he was allowed to do is just go call the police. Like, that was really, really, like, shitty for his character. Like, a lot of people, by the way, I feel bad for him this season, because he's such a great actor, and he really deserves a lot better than what he's getting on the show in terms of writing for his character. He's so funny. He's so good at being this character. The only reason why people criticized him is because he's overweight. That's literally the only reason. There's no other criticism for this character other than he's a little on the heavier side. It's like, who cares? Like, that's the character in the original comic strip, and he does a great job. He's a great actor. I would point as more of a problem is that this entire season, Morticia is like a girl boss over him. And even in like the first or second episode, she says, like, I'm the real head of the family, and your dad is just a loser side character. They never even like get like romantic this season, basically. Like, it's so hard to actually believe that they're Gomez and Morticia, because Gomez and Morticia, they're always finding ways to, like, you know, do it just everywhere they go. You know, like, everywhere Gomez and Morticia go, they're like getting on the table and shit, and getting sloppy and shit. Like they'll do anything anywhere. Like they're a nasty couple in a fun way. But like not these characters. I don't know why. Is it because the show's trying to be marketed towards young girls and young girls don't want to see the proper characters? Like, I don't know. I don't fucking know what's going on with this. Like, that was a problem. But this finale was way better than the finale for season 1. They did a little fake out. They did 2 fake outs this season where, Wednesday might die. Wednesday gets buried alive. And that gets undone, and then Enid is taken out of the plot entirely, which is just hilarious because she's supposed to be like the secondary lead of the show. But she finds out that she's an alpha. She's an alpha wolf, and if you turn into an alpha wolf or something too much, you stay a wolf forever. I don't know. There was some weird rules with that, like some like semantics, like werewolf semantics. But she leaves the plot, and then the final story is it's so amazing. Isaac Knight is related to the Addams family because he reveals that Thing is his right hand. That was so unexpected. It was so genius. It was so cool. I was like, wow, like, what a great character this was. Like, he started off as a zombie who just, you thought, oh, he doesn't know anything. He's just a stupid comedy character. And he transformed back into a person. Like, that's such an interesting and ingenious horror storyline. It's so good. I can't believe it. I can't believe that they pulled this off. He's such a better villain, and he ends up taking Pugsley so that he can turn his sister, who is Tyler's mom, to a human because she is dying from being a Hyde too much. But then there's another twist, and it turns out, and by the way, there is some fantastic Frankenstein stuff in this season. Frankenstein imagery, Frankenstein equipment and shit. Like, it looks straight out of the 1940s. It looks so good. It looks so much better than what my movie's going to look like. And that's just being honest, because they had the money. Okay? And because that's not what I was aiming to do. I was aiming to do something new and original, which it will be. And it is possible. So, but there's this beautiful, beautiful sequence where he has his whole lab and he's a mad scientist. He's just like Dr. Frankenstein, but cooler, but scarier. And there's a twist where it's revealed he is going to get rid of Tyler's Hyde abilities so that Tyler can live a normal life. And I thought that is so unexpected, such an ingenious storyline, because you thought, oh, they're evil characters. They're not going to do anything good. Because even though this was kind of bad, that they never asked Tyler if he wanted his abilities to be taken. The thing is, like, they were thinking about in terms of good reasons, in terms of, like, we want him to have a good life. It was so unexpected. It was such a great idea. And then Jenna overrated Ortega, the greatest. She is the greatest. She comes up, she's got an axe or a hatchet. And you know what else, guys, that I liked? I liked that. You know why? Well, you're not going to understand until you see my movie. But it just, to me, it's really, really weird because my movie, it feels like there's some parallels going on here. Like, she uses this axe very prominently in this sequence, or this hatchet, and the same thing happens in mine in a certain part. And so it really, really is interesting to me. It really, really is like, wow, that's cool. Because you also got to think, too, like, there was going to be originally this year, like, 4 Frankenstein movies, or 3, and then this would have been the 4th one. because this was kind of like a Frankenstein season, where the whole thing was about bringing Isaac back to life as the mad scientist. Like, that was such a great idea, making him the monster and the mad scientist. Now my cat wants to live. You hear his meow? Okay, Bernie, what are you doing under my desk? Okay, I don't know what that means. He's gone under my desk and he's sitting on top of a piece of paper. So yeah, that's weird. He likes to that's what's hilarious about cats, is they find something and they just go and they just sit on top of it. They just are like, oh yeah, this is cool. What's this? And they just sit on it. It would be really interesting if they made a Saw movie but with cats. That would be so interesting, because because a cat would just go up to a saw trap and they would just sit down on the trap and like, oh, what's this? And they just sit down and then they just get chopped to pieces by the trap. That would be such a brutal movie. A Saw movie, but with cats. That would actually, you could do that. You could pull it off if it's claymation or if it's animated or something. Like, you could pull it off if it's done in like a cartoony way. But I was just thinking about that. Like, what would my cat do if he was in a saw trap? What will you do, Bernie? What will you do? I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. Bye-bye. Alright. So as I was saying, it was really, really interesting to me how those two little similarities to my film kind of jumped out at me. It was really like, oh, this is so cool. And it was so cool just seeing, like, Wednesday was really awesome in this finale too. Like, she was a lot better than she was the entire season. She kind of went through like a dark arc, but then she kind of grew out of it. Like, I will say too, a big thing about the season was like that story of her like going down this dark path. And I don't know if I really believed her reversing the path as much as, like, it kind of felt like the show was like, okay, like, the show's going to be over pretty soon, so we got to wrap things up, so she's got to get back on the good path. So they kind of switched it over really fast, you know? Like, there wasn't as much of a visible, like, arc as there could have been. I probably, if they had more episodes, there would have been. But yeah, in the end, there is a brutal but awesome final, like, fight, battle, whatever. And there's also a great moment, which was kind of like Dexter, that I won't say anything about, involving Tyler and Wednesday. That was awesome. That was very unexpected. And also, it was just great because, like, Tyler's character, I really felt like he wasn't that evil in the first season. Like, he was being groomed by this evil woman, this teacher. Like, he was not, like, fully, like, he still was, like, I still would say, you know, he should be probably locked up in an asylum or heavily, heavily watched, because his character, you know, he could go either way, you know, like, that's not someone who's just gonna, like, be a good guy now, you know, but, like, I love the fact that he wasn't the main villain of the season. I thought it was so lazy and cliche when they kind of hinted at that in the first half of the season. And so I really don't know what happened here, like, other than the thing, too. That's another thing, is that in the first half, the whole reason for that whole story with Thing being mistreated was also it could lead up to this, to lead up to Isaac getting Thing back. And it was so interesting to see Thing, you know, be someone's hand on their body. That was such a great idea. But all that led up to this. But I really want to know what happened here. Like, the first half of the season is so glaringly bad. There's elements of goodness. And there's so many elements of goodness that I'm going to put Wednesday season 2 very high up on my TV shows ranking for the year. But it's just really strange because it's almost like a night and day difference. Pun intended for Isaac Knight. There's like a night and day difference between episodes 6 through 8 and episodes 1 through 5. And yeah, season 3 will be about finding Enid, Wednesday and Uncle Fester, and Thing, I guess, finding Enid and saving her, trying to see if they can get her to turn back into a human. I don't know what'll happen, but that actually sounds like a great idea. Great idea. Because are we really going to get a whole season with Uncle Fester? Really? And then there was also like a bit of a tease story about we're actually going to see Aunt Ophelia, which, thank God, we kept on hearing about her like, I don't want you to turn out like Aunt Ophelia. It's like, who's that? Like, who's that? How am I supposed to prevent myself from turning into someone that I don't even know, like, anything about her except she's a bad woman or something? Like, I don't know. Like, so yeah. But Wednesday also, she gets a little bit of her psychic ability back at the end. And yeah, it really does feel like her psychic ability comes back at a plot convenience type of rate, because yeah, her spirit guide said there was some kind of process, but then at the very end she has like the random vision. So what I'm saying is, I wonder how it's going to come back. Like, is it really going to come back in season 3 like at like really convenient times? Or is it going to come back? Because I really liked this season how she didn't have the ability and she had to do things without it. And, it made things a lot more interesting. And yeah, I got to say, overall, I don't feel bad about criticizing the first half of the season because it was bad. But I do feel bad about not just jumping straight into watching the second half, because that's what you got to do when you're a reviewer, or when you're a fan of a show. When you're a fan of a show or an actress like Jenna, overrated, Ortega, you just got to jump in. You just got to jump in and say, hey, like, that's the thing about movies and TV shows. Is like, no matter how many people, or no matter how many times you think like, oh, this is probably bad. Like, there's a lot of movies where I didn't see them in theaters because critics said they were bad. And then I saw them months later at home, and I was like, wow, those movies were really good. The Founder, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Bad Times at the El Royale. So I've learned that, and this is probably kind of bad to say because I am running a YouTube channel where I review things, but the best thing to do is to just watch things for yourself. Because only you are going to determine if you actually end up liking something, and you should always give things a chance. Because then you can say, hey, I gave it a chance, and it was really, really bad. Or it was really good, and it surprised me. So in terms of food, the second half of the season is like a night and day difference. So this is going to be really tough. It's actually so tough that, like, I'm really debating what to give it now, and I'm just stalling by just saying word scramble. Word salad. That's what they say, word salad. Have I ever done a word salad before? And is this really going to work to stall for much longer? I don't know. You know what? I'm just gonna jump right in. The first half of the season 2, is like a bad day at McDonald's. When you go to McDonald's, you're already having a bad day because, why would you want to eat McDonald's even on a good day? And but like a bad day at McDonald's, it's just like, wow, like you guys, you're not making enough money, but like you could at least make the food a little bit better. But and sometimes like it's almost seems like it's just so badly made that it's like a purposeful like fu to me who paid money for this food. And it's cold and the fries are overcooked or they short you on the fries. That's a big problem for me when they short you on fries after you paid for them and they only give you like half of a package. And, that just, nobody likes a bad day at McDonald's. And then, guess what, the second half of the season, guys, I'm bringing it back. For all those who remember my review of Wednesday Season 1, the second half of Wednesday Season 2 is spaghetti. But with a caveat, this spaghetti is leftover spaghetti. It is just a small portion, and it's because like the next day after you had the McDonald's, you're like, okay, I'll just eat leftovers and I will eat this small portion of spaghetti, and oh, I wish there was more because spaghetti is the greatest food of all time, but there is only this little dish. And that is what Season 2, Part 2 it is. It made me want more. Like, I wish that they had made more episodes. Like, a couple more. Like, it's 8 episodes, so let's say 3 more. 3 or 4 more. Like, this season deserved it. I think that there were so many storylines. The cult storyline was just a giant waste of time. The principal, he was a great villain. I liked that the siren got some good character, although she was kind of shafted. I didn't like how the male characters got shafted in the finale. And my favorite part, though, is Isaac Knight. That whole thing where he's a zombie and he becomes a bad guy. Like, that was just such a great idea. It was so good. And it was such a refreshing take on, like, a Frankenstein story. It was so refreshing, like, even I wouldn't have thought of that. Like, I thought that I did a good job at, like, thinking, like, how can I take the Frankenstein story and, like, really make it my own and make it original and not to where I'm just doing, the Frankenstein story again. But this was actually really good. And it also shows, by the way, when Tim Burton simplifies things, they get really good. So yeah, this is a puzzling season. It's puzzling to me. And I feel really bad for people who don't, take a chance on the rest of the season because the first half was so bad. So overall, please like this video, comment, and tell me what you thought of Season 2, Part 2. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest reviews. I have reviewed a lot of things that Jenna Overrated Ortega has done because she's so overrated. She's everywhere, so I might as well just, embrace her and just review her movies and shows and just not really enjoy it. Just do it. I just do it because she's there. She's everywhere. I really hope she didn't get surgery. I really hope she didn't get plastic surgery. Because, like, she's such a nice person, and she already looks really beautiful. She doesn't need plastic surgery. And then also, if you guys don't know, I have a Patreon. It is called Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies. And if you want to be a part of the cool club, join the Patreon soon. There is going to be tons of bonus content on there, exclusive content, and tons of behind-the-scenes filmmaking content, so you can see what it's like to make movies with nothing but ideas, energy, and my right hand, because my right hand did not get cut off like Isaac Knight's. It is still on, and in fact, I am holding my phone with my right hand. The thing is still on me. Ha 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 ha. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.